This is the Platinum Podcast.
Welcome to the Platinum Podcast, my friend.
No, thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, man. I've heard a few stories from my good friend Lewis, who was in the military with you. He's told me a few funny little stories. I'm looking forward to having someone on who's going to be pretty damn raw from what I've seen in the just for a bit of comedy purposes, what was old Lewis like back in the day?
No, he's a good lad. I can remember Lewis. Yeah, he's a good lad. I think we've done a tour together. I'm pretty sure we've done an Afghan tour together. But yeah, he's good. He was a good lad, actually. One of the better ones.
That was really disappointing. I was really hoping you were going to tell me he was a bit of a prick.
No. I stay in touch with him because he's a good lad. He was a good lad in the Reg as well. So yeah, he's one of the better guys.
Fair enough. We'll let him off the hook on that one.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about your military background. So for the listeners here today, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I went in at 17, went into Power Race Depot, went through the whole depot thing, joined battalion, went to Northern Ireland pretty much straight away. While I was in Northern Ireland, we got the call to start doing pre-deployment training to go to Iraq. So then I went to Iraq on the first Special Forces Support Group operation, which is that's where I took part in a massive operation which is called Larchwood 4. You can actually Google it. It was a big operation to go after a guy called Al-Zarqawi. Al-Zarqawi is a guy that in the film The American Sniper that he kills, the Prince of Beheadings. That's actually false. We gathered information from that mission, which led to his death a couple of weeks later. We pinpointed where he'd be through gathering information from hard drives, etc. And then we dropped a £500 bomb on him and got rid of him that way.
That'll do his job.
Yeah. That was actually quite a good operation to be a part of. 5 of our lads got shot on that mission, which was carnage. It was carnage, absolute carnage. And as a young lad, it was quite a big one to be involved in, and quite a traumatic one as well. It's the first time I actually see a suicide bomber run out of a house and disappear. It was like magic. I can remember actually thinking, this is like magic. Like the guy was there, now he's not. So and then it just kind of took off from there. Then my career really just constantly bouncing around the different companies within Special Forces Support Group and going on tours. I ended up doing 10 tours in just under 12 years, which is quite a lot. That was it really.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious lifespan, and it's a hell of a lot of tours to be doing. So what were kind of some of the experiences that you had while you were out there? I'm sure they were pretty as extreme as they can get.
Yeah, in 2009, I was awarded Dimension Dispatches, which is a gallantry award. I was written up for a military cross, but I got a mention Dispatches instead. That was for I landed back in a compound one day with the Welsh Guards. I was attached to the Welsh Guards with an Afghan Special Forces team, or Afghan Territorial Forces they're called, but they're more of like a more advanced unit than the Afghan army, if you like, or Afghan police. But they're recruited from the Afghan police and Afghan army. And we train them up kind of to our standard, not to our full standard, and we don't give them all our tactics, but we make them a little bit better so they can work with us. So I was attached to the Welsh Guards, went back to repatriate 3 of my mates that got killed, come back, and as the heli was coming in, we got contacted in the heli, so the heli started getting shot at. So I went to the ops room to see what was going on, and a lad had lost his left leg. So I said, I'll take my Afghans, draw the fire away from them, because they can't deal with that casualty while they're being fired at. So if I can draw the fire onto me and they can deal with the casualty then, and get ready for the heli coming in, because the MERT's going to come in. So the MERT is a group of medics that come in on a helicopter and take the injured out and get them ready for like an operation back in a field hospital. So the fire drew onto me, and then I pinged where the Taliban were. I could see them. So I got my Afghans up and we put a massive weight of fire down, and none of them were hit. all the Taliban ran into a compound. So I made the decision to assault the compound, and we assaulted the compound and killed all 7 Taliban within it, which saved that guy's life, and obviously the helicopter from being shot at as it came in to rescue him.
Fuck me. Fuck me. I'm really, what really interests me. So I obviously do a lot of talking about mindset. What is the kind of mindset you need to have to be continuously putting yourself in these types of situations?
I think the mindset is from our regiment, because I was attached to we. I don't so much do it now, but when you're in the military or in the parachute regiment, you look down upon all the other regiments because we're made to believe we're the best. And we're made to believe we're the best for a reason, because we need to, the job we're doing, we need to feel we're the best, and we need to have that arrogance about us, because that's what makes us better than everyone else, and that's what makes us the war fighters that we are. So obviously, working with another regiment that we frown upon, it kind of give me that kick up the arse. Go, do you know what? I'm gonna fucking smash this. I can do this, and I'm not gonna embarrass my cap badge.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a pretty hardline approach, and you talk pretty openly about some of the mental health struggles that you've had since leaving the military. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there's obviously a few incidents that happened while I was away. On that 2009 tour, I was blown up a few times. Once was on foot. I've actually got the helmet. You might have seen it on my Instagram, where it's crushed on one side. So I was blown up a few times, and I didn't really notice the effect it had on me, because you just carry on. You try and kind of just push it out, and you just think, oh, it will go away. It's just something that's happening, and PTSD wasn't really explained to us in a way it should have been. And it wasn't really a subject that people spoke about. It's kind of one of those hidden things that no one really talks about, because you don't want to be known as that guy. Yeah. But when I left the military, and I didn't have that support network anymore, not really a support network, but because I wasn't surrounded by like-minded guys, the footsteps started to get louder, if you like. So it started getting worse and worse and worse. First thing that happened was sleep pattern. Just couldn't sleep. Then it was intrusive thoughts, just driving one day and something just come into your mind, and before you know it, it's snowballing. Sat in a cafe. I used to do surveillance over in Europe, kind of almost like spying on people. Well, it is kind of spying on people. But because you've got so much time on your hands, because you're waiting for the target to come out the house or something, intrusive thoughts come into your mind, and before you know it, you're questioning, did I do that right? I got that guy killed. Oh, that's my fault. And then you start thinking about the guys that are wounded. Oh, I could have saved him. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have pulled that bit of metal out of that guy's neck. He would, I should have left it in. He might not have died if I left it in. And then it got too much for me. And then one day I thought, fuck this, and went and hung myself. But my parents noticed that something was wrong with the way I was talking, and just the way I was being. So they come home early, because I was living with my parents at the time, because I just couldn't live with my wife and my kids. And they found me hanging in the loft. So Dad cut me down, and I can remember waking up thinking, "Fucking hell, this! Why am I still here? What's happened?" And basically, my mum and Dad revived me, done CPR on me, and brought me back to life. But I was hanging there dead. And then a couple of weeks after that, I stabbed myself in the stomach, because I thought, I just got a knife one day and just stuck it straight in me. Started texting my wife saying, I've done this, goodbye, that's it. And I thought that was it. I thought that was because I was bleeding a lot, and he was pissing at me, and I thought, this is it. I can actually remember my brain kind of shutting down. It was almost like when the telly goes fuzzy when you lose signal, and your eyes just start to go. But I was lucky that there's a paramedic in a car close by that had been to another job, and they were able to come and square me away, get me to hospital really quickly, and stop the bleeding. Wow. So again, really lucky. So that's 2 suicide attempts there that I've been really lucky to survive, and I didn't try a third time, so I thought, I can't kill myself, so I'm invincible.
you didn't do a good job the first 2 times, so you thought you'd not bother for the third.
I mean, people might think that, oh, he's laughing about it, but you've got to laugh about it. If you don't laugh about it, it'll affect you, and you've got to make humour of it nowadays. It's like a coping mechanism, isn't it? Like just be open and laugh about it, make a joke of it. But yeah, so that's when after that, that's kind of when I sat down and went, right, I need help now. I need to admit that I need help, and admitting that I needed help was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Like, forget about the military, forget about, everything I've done in Afghanistan and Iraq. Actually sitting down in front of a group of people and saying, right, I need help. Can you please help me and sort me out? It's the hardest thing I'm about to fucking do, mate, because I've never had to ask for help before.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'd actually like to discuss that, like, because you've touched on some brutally raw shit, and I think it's really important to kind of backtrack to kind of build this up a little bit. So as men, we are taught to just suck it up and man up, right? We're not taught to reach out for help. We're always taught to suppress our emotions and just fucking get on with it. And I'd love to know how PTSD is actually viewed in the military. What kind of approach is taken? Because I would assume that the culture there is very much be tough, be strong, right? It's an extreme version of what all men are taught.
Yeah.
How is that viewed in the military, and how comfortable do you feel talking about these topics in that environment?
When I first started talking about my struggles, if you like, I started blogging on my Instagram. So I thought, if I'm gonna fucking die here, then I might as well blog about it and try and help somebody. So when I'm gone, like, there's all the information. And it was almost a way of me expressing my feelings as well, because I couldn't sit down and have a conversation like face to face with somebody, because it made me feel uncomfortable for that reason, because we're looked at like warriors, and all the lads think we shouldn't be talking about this stuff. And when me and Lewis were in, it was never spoken about. You'd never talk about struggles. And I actually lost a lot of friends through talking about my mental health, and the things I've done in Iraq and the things I've seen in Afghanistan. Lads are like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about it. Well, that's me getting it off my chest. I need to talk about it. But like you say, as men, especially in an elite unit, it's massively frowned upon. I don't know what it's like now, because obviously I'm out. But when I was in, I've been out 6 years now. It was frowned upon. It just wasn't known, really. But one thing I'd done was that I'll touch on. So as Lewis will know, I used to be an absolute meathead. I was about 19 and a half stone. But I took steroids. But looking back now, the reason I was taking steroids is because that muscle was hiding who I was. It was hiding what I was going through. People would see, oh, look at fucking Dave, like, with his 22-inch arms. They wouldn't see, oh, look at Dave who's struggling mentally. But one thing I had to do when I asked for help was understand that muscle was just body armor. Just like when I wear body armor on missions, it protects me. That muscle was my body armor. And when I stopped training and stopped taking steroids, and I took that body armor off and just exposed who I really was, that's when things started to change for me. And it was just being me. I had to be me. Now, one thing I asked myself one day, what if being a man is actually talking openly about your emotion? What if being a man is actually just go, fuck it, this is who I am? But all the bravado alpha male stuff, like, it's all a front. And everyone I see nowadays, it gives it the alpha male, status, and on this. I'd look at one and go, mate, are you okay? Because that's a front. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, it is. Trust me, I've been there. It's a front. Like, you're trying to mask something.
I love this. Like, literally, this is the exact type of conversations that I'm really interested to be having. So to give you an example, I've just been on a men's retreat, right? And the whole purpose of this men's retreat is redefining what masculinity really is, because we all have these misconceptions about what it is. And to anybody who's sat here looking at you right now, you are the definition of what masculinity is. You're a big geezer. You've been to fucking war. You're a warrior, right? What is more manly than that? But you're also somebody that talks about their emotions. You're also somebody that accepts that they go through hard times and they have struggles, right? And these two things aren't normally aligned. And I think it's really important that people like yourself are voicing this point of view to people, so everyone kind of gets it. Because the amount of health problems that come from suppressing emotions, it's only starting now to be really well documented. So in my own experiences, I've taken steroids. I remember when I was an insecure young man, I just wanted to be bigger. I took fucking steroids. It made me feel better. The bigger I was, the stronger I was, the more manly I was. The fact of the matter was, wasn't confident in myself, and just being bigger kind of masked that. It was that suit of armor. And I think every man goes through this. We all have insecurities, you know, we all have these things. We all have fears, and we're just taught to cover it up with all sorts of different bullshit. And I love the perspective that you're coming at it from. I think it's fucking amazing. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we just got to, it's being in touch with yourself, isn't it? You just got to be in touch with yourself. And another thing that, that I say was one thing that I regretted, was women always say to their friends, "Oh, I love you and I appreciate you." And, you know, they'll always say that. Why do men not do that? Why do men not show that appreciation to their mates? Like, I regret, well, I did regret, because we can get onto it later, but because I did actually get to do it. But I used to regret not being able to say to my friends that had died, like, I love them and I appreciate them. My mate Kevin died in Afghan in 2009. He kind of, well, he did have a massive impact on the soldier I become. So I never got to say, I appreciate everything you've done for me. Like, thanks, and I love you. Like, we don't do that. We never give each other a cuddle when we leave each other. Like, you know, it's just a fist bump, or, like, you know, high five. See you later, mate. Yeah. Why do you not say, "Oh, I love you, mate"?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's just, it's one of those things, isn't it? Because people aren't secure enough in themselves with their own masculinity. They're so scared of being perceived as, let's face it, you're gay. That's what we grow up with, right? As men, that's what I grew up with. To be called gay is like the worst fucking thing ever, right? Let's not even get into the political and the fucking bullshit around it. It's just how it is, right? Most heterosexual men are actually terrified of being called gay, or actually being gay. So they stay away from intimacy with other men, right? That's what it is. So rather than going into those intimate spaces, we just stay around on the sidelines, give it fist bumps, and fucking slap each other in the fucking gym, you know?
Yeah.
How did you first get started with these realizations? When did you start to think, "How, this is just not fucking right"?
I hope you guys are enjoying this episode of the Platinum Podcast, brought to you by Platinum University, the real-life school of mindset, online business, and financial independence. Platinum University teaches you everything conventional education missed. We're helping thousands of people to create multiple passive income streams that create more money, time, and freedom. We literally guide you through every step of the process with the help of our in-house experts and our powerful, like-minded community groups. To get 35% off your monthly subscription, permanently lock in the discounted price of $39.99 and get access to our mindset, forex, dropshipping, stocks, crypto, affiliate marketing, and property content, visit platinumuniversity.co.uk/join.
Well, obviously, when I asked for help, I started going to counselling. But the NHS in the UK made me worse. What happened was with that is they give me a title. So they said you got post-traumatic stress and borderline personality disorder. I got the borderline personality disorder from when I was a kid. Fucking mental, mate. I was in the army all those years and didn't realise I had a problem.
Give me a gun. I'm sure I'll be just fine.
Like, fucking good. The Americans call it unstable emotional personality disorder. So you can't differ between emotions. But that's probably what is masked so well in the military, because you have to kind of switch your emotion off. But the NHS gave me a title, post-traumatic stress, borderline personality disorder, and they trip the title, not the person. If I put 100 people in your room, I would say my van, but they won't fit in my van, in your room, that got post-traumatic stress or borderline personality disorder, they'd all be different in their own unique ways. So you need to treat the person, not the title. And by treating the title, I almost felt like I was going there just so they could tick a box that I've been there. There was no rapport there, no relationship being built. It was just it was bullshit, to be honest with you. So I sacked that off. One day I just said, "Look, this is fucking bullshit. Do one." Walked out. And I was kind of because I did see changes in myself with the NHS, so I can't say it was complete failure, but I needed more. And I felt, when I left, I felt like I was going to take a step back. I was just going to go back into that hole again. Now, I reached out to Rock to Recovery in London. It's Jason Carl Fox's charity. And I went there, and mate, after the first session, they done EMDR with me. I don't know if you
I'm not
EMDR is like it's eye management it's something to do with your eyes anyway. It makes you see things in a different way. I can remember walking out there and phoning my wife and saying, "Fucking hell, I feel completely different already after one session." But they also understood the military. I didn't have to go into minor detail when I was explaining. Like if I said about an IED strike, they'd be like, the NHS would be, "What's an IED?" And just going into those minor things used to stress me out. I just wanted to be able to say what I needed to say, and then they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So by going to rock to recovery and then actually going through my recovery process, I started to just feel differently in myself. But instead of switching off that emotion, which is what I used to do, and understanding my borderline personality disorder, which is what I can't differ between emotions, by understanding the emotion and it coming out of me, I just started to change as a person. I just accepted it for what it was and didn't fight it. It's almost surrendering yourself to your emotion is basically what it is. You just surrender yourself to your emotion. Just be be open. Just be open to it.
Yeah, I suppose you need to be able to move through the motions in a constructive way where nobody gets hurt, whether that be other people or yourself, right?
Yeah, well, that's where I messed up, because I actually went to prison for a little while. Because beforehand, obviously, because before the whole therapy thing, I was getting into a lot of trouble. I was always fighting. I was getting into a lot of trouble. I was drinking a lot, taking drugs, just being a wild card, really, a loose cannon. But if I was more in touch with myself then, would it have been different? Possibly. I don't know. Hindsight's a great thing. But going through the whole therapy thing and being in touch with myself and my emotion, it's completely changed who I am.
Yeah, it sounds to me like there's a huge structural gap here. I mean, if you're having to go to the NHS and seek help off your own back, there's a real big problem here. Given the types of scenarios you're getting put in the military, surely there should be a standardized process, something that's actually looking after people in your position. Is there nothing in place at all?
Well, this is it. So my wife noticed that I was I started to change as a person, and she said to me, "You need to go and see someone." I said, I was like, "Behave." I said, I'm a power edge bloke. We're all nuts. and she was like, "You need to go and see someone." So to keep her quiet, I went to see the medical officer, and he sent me to see someone in Donington. It's like a mental health military place. So I went there for a day, and they said, "I've just got anger problems." So they put me on this anger management program, which I thought that's just normal. All paras are angry.
I kill people for a living. I'm gonna be a little bit fucking angry, right?
So my wife was like, "I'm not having that. I'm not having it." So she's like, "I'm going to see your medical officer." So my missus went to see the medical officer and was like, "Look,
you've got a powerful missus, mate. I must say."
She was like, "There's being angry and aggressive, but he's angry and emotional. I see him staring into dead spaces. I try and talk to him, and he's just not there." She's like, "The lights on, but no one's home." So they sent me to see someone again, and it was like, "Nah, he's just angry." And I was like, "Just angry, babe." And she's like, "Fuck's sake!" But looking back now, she's right. I did have problems, and the army should have really picked up on it sooner. I was, Lewis or no, I was deemed as a drama because I was getting in trouble all the time. And it got to the point where when I moved around the companies or different platoons within the battalion, people would say, "Oh, I don't want him in my company," or "I don't want him in my platoon because he's a fucking drama. He fights downtown all the time and he just calls me issues, more paperwork, etc." Why didn't they actually go, "Actually, he's had a fucking gleaming career. His career has been awesome. And now it's just started taking a nosedive after the 2009 tour, which was really kinetic, and we lost 6 lads on that tour. Why is this guy now started going the other way?" No one actually gripped me and said, "Right, are you all right?" No one. Even when we went back to Afghan in 2011, so 18 months after that tour, I can remember on that tour getting blown up again. I think Lewis might have been on that tour actually. But we had an IED strike, and fucking hell, mate, after that IED strike, because I've been blown up on the previous tours, and one of them was quite traumatic, where my helmet got hit. I just had this my body just went into it, just this heightened sense of alertness, but it was like overdrive, too alert, and like I just couldn't control my body. I can remember getting back to camp and having like a moment when you're in a safe environment, my body just kind of relaxed, but when it relaxed, just had a fucking meltdown basically. And again, they sent me back to the UK, but they just sent me back to the UK and forgot about me. They didn't send me back to the UK and go, right, fucking go and see someone. It was just go back to the UK, forgotten about.
That's fucked. Like it's that straightforward. It's completely fucked. I don't even understand how that's even a thing when you're putting people in those kind of extreme environments and doing absolutely nothing to cater for it, because it's not like they're oblivious to it. Is it a financial thing? Is there not like resources to allocate to this? It's like, what do you think it is?
I think it's just they're not well enough equipped, or they weren't well enough equipped, and they also didn't want to have a guy on their hands that's got post-traumatic stress, because it's easier to get them out of the army. Like I got kicked out of the army for steroids in the end. I actually got kicked out for steroids, but I think they tested me for steroids. Like, this guy's fucked. He's mentally fucked. Let's get him out of the army because he's not our problem. Then we'll pass him on to someone else. Mm-hmm. That's what I think happens, because they're not well enough equipped, or they weren't well enough equipped for post-traumatic stress. So the case of let's get him out with he's someone else's problem then.
So how does that make you feel, given what you've put on the line in your lifetime, to then be treated in a way that you don't even matter once you've done your fucking job? Now your mental health and your well-being isn't important anymore.
I love it, because that whole journey, that life journey is maybe who I am today, and I actually fucking like who I am today. I'm proud of the person I've become, and that's been part of my process. I'm not going to look back and hate the army, because that's been part of my process. Life's a journey, isn't it? Everything's a life lesson. I learned a lesson, and if that didn't happen to me, where would I be? Where would I be now? Probably still going on tours, more mentally fucked at an older age, unable to get work anywhere because I'm proper fucked at 40 years old. Wife probably left me, not seeing my kids. So, I appreciate what they've done for me. I appreciate them kicking me out, because it's been part of my life journey, and it's a part of who's made me, it's made me who I am now.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, everybody's journey is all the most painful points that you go through usually work out to be the best parts, right? That's where you get to being happy with who you are. I mean, more in a sense for other people that are in a similar situation who are maybe being let down in those instances.
Oh yeah, there's loads of lads being let down, mate. I know of 9 lads that have killed themselves in the Welsh Guards from that 2009 tour. One killed himself on New Year's Eve, just went out into Brecon Beacons and hung himself. But yeah, there's lads that are being massively let down. I know now there's lads that I still talk to in the paras that are mentally fucked. They just won't, I've tried talking to them, but they won't admit it. So you just got to be ready for them when they get out. But the army are massively letting lads down. It's ridiculous, really.
Yeah, I'm familiar with a few different charities, usually people ex-forces who help, because there was a guy, one of my good friends from back home, his brother, a guy called Danny Johnston, he came out of the paras, I believe, and then he just went missing one day. He had PTSD and he ended up killing himself. There was a nationwide search for him, and it was absolutely horrific. And this wasn't the first time that I've seen that. But what was beautiful to see was all the charities that got involved and all the ex-forces that all rallied together to go hunting for this guy all over the country. Like the way they rallied behind that was absolutely unbelievable to see. So the community there is really, really powerful. Who are you aware of? What other different charities, etc., are out there to help people that are struggling with mental health issues right now?
There's a lot. The best one I've went to is Rock to Recovery. Also, that's just because they're the ones that help me out. But they're there 24/7, mate. So if I feel like I'm having like a moment, which I do have my moments still, I'm not completely cured. I don't think I'll ever be completely cured. I'll just pick up the phone and have a chat with one of the guys there. But then there's loads of charities out there nowadays. There's All Cool Signs, Warriors RV. They're all places that you can you can message on social media, and they've got connections to all sorts of charities. So if anyone's struggling, they can just get in touch with them, or even get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with someone.
Amazing. So what are you doing now? Obviously, you've put the forces behind you. You've been on a serious journey in terms of your own recovery and your struggles that you've been through. What does your life look like now?
Mate, so I went away to Costa Rica and done a thing called ayahuasca. I'm not sure if you're aware of it.
Very, very familiar with ayahuasca, my friend. Yeah.
So I done ayahuasca, and mate, that was like the icing on the cake for me. I needed something more, so I went and done ayahuasca, and that just completely like just reprogrammed my brain, and it's fucking weird, mate.
Can you tell, for people that aren't familiar with ayahuasca, can you give a little bit of an explanation? So first of all, how you came to learn about it and what exactly it is.
So I used to work for Ollie Ollerton, who's on the SES Who Dares Wins TV show. I was a chief instructor up at his academy, and he said to me one day, "Do you want to go and do ayahuasca in Costa Rica?" And I didn't even know what it was. And when I was reading up on it, I thought, I'm not too sure that is. Like, this could send me the other way.
This could go seriously fucking wrong for everyone involved.
Yeah. I just had visions of me like running around the jungle, you know,
in a loincloth, losing your shit.
Off my nut, mate. Yeah. But the more I read into it, I thought, yeah, this is me. I need a bit of this. So ayahuasca it's a plant medicine, not a drug, plant medicine, but it's a hallucinogenic, and it's been used for thousands of years by tribes in South America. It's basically like cooked up from a vine tree, and the liquid that's left, you do a shot of it. It's absolutely horrible. But before you take it, you ask the medicine for something. Do you want me to tell you about my trips quickly?
Absolutely. Tell me all about
I'll tell you about the two main ones. I've done 4, but there's only 2 that really had a profound effect on me. So the second one, I asked it for what did I ask it for? I asked it for like clearance, like my past. I wanted to just know more about my past. So I went and sat down in the bloker on my mattress, and you have like a bucket next to you, because purging, anything like crying, yawning, being sick, all that's classed as purging, getting the badness out of you. So led down on my mattress, and I just went into this world, and I'm walking around this castle, and I'm like, oh, like, this is weird. And I walked around the corner, and there's my mate Kev Mulligan stood in front of me, that died in Afghan. I'm like, fuck it. But it wasn't a dream. It's as real as we are now. It wasn't. I know what a dream feels like, but it was as real as we are now. And he goes, "Come on, I've got something to show you." So like, fucking tabbing off around this castle, go through these big double doors. It's a nightclub, mate, and all the lads that got killed in Afghan are there. All my mates. I'm like, fucking, all on the piss, like drinking, like. And there's a guy that I shot by accident in Afghan. A Taliban, well, he wasn't a Taliban fighter, but he's an Afghan soldier. But he came up to me, and he cuddled me and said, "No hard feelings." I was like, "What's this about? Like, what's he doing here?" And then there was all these Afghans in the corner. I'm like, this is blowing my mind. Like, why are there? But it made me think, like, they're warriors, and I'm in Valhalla. I'm in Valhalla because we always talk about Valhalla. So I'm on the piss with all the lads, having a mega time, and then Kev says to me, "Right, you've got to go." So that's when I got to say goodbye to the lads, tell them I love them, tell them I appreciate them, give them a cuddle. So that's when I got to do that. And he said to me as well, he said, "I've got something to show you before I go." I was like, all right. So he opened this door, and there's my mum crying on the end of the bed. And I'm trying to talk to her, and I couldn't talk to her. She couldn't hear me. And he said to me, every time you try and kill yourself, every time you lose the plot, this is what happens. He said, start thinking about other people rather than yourself. He said, I know you're struggling, and I know times are hard at the moment, but he said, start thinking of other people. And then he gave me a cuddle, and then I snapped out of it, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Wow.
But I got to, what I regretted, not saying goodbye to lads, I got to do it. I got to see they're in a better place. A few of the lads that died, you see him in a bad way. You see him, when you talk of him, you see him in the last state you see him in. But now my brain's been reprogrammed to think, when I talk of Kev or talk of the lads, I see him on the piss like last year. Yeah, so it's just reprogrammed my brain.
Yeah. So okay, so there's a lot of talk about ayahuasca. So I'm very familiar with it myself. I haven't yet to do it. My girlfriend, she's done over 100 ceremonies. She also serves Cambo. Did you ever do Cambo while you were out there?
No.
The frog poison. That's a whole different story for another day. But they often talk about it like going into different dimensions. You start to enter a different space of consciousness.
Yeah.
For you, was this something that were you there? Do you believe that you just reprogrammed your understanding of what happened, or do you believe you were actually there and you actually got to experience your
I believe I was there. But it can't feel so real. How can it feel so real but not be true?
Yeah, there's a really weird one with ayahuasca. So many people experience the same thing. They meet the same deities, they meet the same gods, they meet the same creators time and time again, which raises the questions: if it's not real, if it's a hallucination, how the fuck are we all meeting the same people? You know?
Yeah. I just said the next one, the third one I've done. I didn't feel anything when I took the ayahuasca, and I said to Todd, one of the healers, I said, Todd, as he walked past me, I said, Todd, I said, I can't feel anything. He goes, okay. I said, what do we do? He goes, we do more. So I did another, so I did another shot. Didn't feel anything. I was like, Todd, I can't feel anything. He goes, really? He goes, wait a minute. So he said, stay there. So he brought me the ayahuasca, and I done 3 shots in that one, mate. And everything just started feeling hot. My body started burning up, and I could feel it actually in my lungs when I was breathing. And I went into this world, mate. Everything was on fire, and I was in my pants. And before I took the ayahuasca, I said, show me what I need to see to live a positive life. Now, everything was on fire around me, and I'm thinking, how the fuck is this like going to make me have a better, you know? But then I see this shadow. And it was like a smoky shadow with a distinct face. And I said to it, show me what I need to see to live a positive life. And it just looked at me, laughed, and walked off through these double gates. So I walked through these double gates, and I've literally just gone, I'm in fucking hell. And this is the devil. Like, I'm with the devil, and I'm in hell. Like, then my body just started to panic. And I started trying to get out the trip. But the more I started trying to fight it and get out, the more it sucked me in. Now, it spat me out, and I was like, fucking thank fuck for that, I'm out. And I looked at my hands, and they're covered in blood, and I was like, what? I was just looking at them, and they're covered in blood. And it put me back into the trip. I still don't know why it spat me out and then put me back in. But when I come back in, my wife and kids were dead at my feet. And they were dead, and I was trying to revive them, couldn't revive them. I was asking this, like, you know, devil, help me. It just stood there laughing at me. And I can see why people kill themselves on hallucinogenics now, because if I wasn't being watched in that trip, I'd have killed myself. I can see why people panic and kill themselves on hallucinogenics. So I strongly advise, if you're going to do ayahuasca, do it in a controlled environment and do it in a proper place. But I actually killed myself in that trip, and I come out the trip, and I was that traumatized that I stood up and almost passed out, and I had to be walked back to my room. And they were trying to talk me through it, because it made me believe that I'd actually killed my wife and kids. And I was like, I need to talk to my wife. And they were like, Dave, probably not a good idea at the minute. Just chill out.
She doesn't want to talk to you right now. It's not a good time.
Imagine phoning her. I just killed you. What
the fuck's going on?
Yeah. And obviously the time difference over there, it was like early hours of the morning back in the UK. But anyway,
wake up to that.
No. But what that showed me was, if I keep living a destructive life, and being on this destructive path, it's just shown me what it's going to feel like to lose the people that mean the most to me, like my wife and kids. It made me feel what it's going to feel like to lose them. Not by dying, just lose them as in, they will walk away from me if I keep living this, self-destructive path. But also, by killing myself at the end of the trip, a part of me needed to die in order to regrow. So it was my mind-based identity died in that trip. My mind-based identity being Para Dave, always thinking I'm linked to the parachute regiment, always thinking that, you know, I'm Para Dave. I'm not Para Dave anymore. I'm Siri Dave, and I'm Dave Radband, who I really am. So it's a rebirth of my true self, and that's kind of like the icing on the cake where I am who I am now. It's just forget about the parachute. Well, not forget about it, but that's my past. I need to start, that's just one chapter of my book. There's more chapters to come, and start living that life.
I love that. So you're talking about ego death at this point, right? We all have these different
Yeah.
identities that we have across time. And we all associate ourselves with job descriptions, all sorts of different titles, but they're all just parts of who we are. But we have such a tendency to identify as these things. And the dangerous thing is with that is if we identify as one thing our whole life, as we change, we imprison ourselves as being somebody we used to be. So really, it's like I call it like a fallacy of like the human experience. We just kind of put ourselves in these little boxes, and sometimes you need these really powerful pain moments, whether it be from doing an ayahuasca trip or having a fucking mental breakdown, to really reassess who it is that you are and who you really want to be. And I think it's a really powerful point to touch on. When you came out, so after this ayahuasca trip, how did that then affect your life? How were you able to then apply this and integrate this moving forward?
Well, that's one of the first times my wife seen me cry. I can remember getting back and sitting down with my daughter and watching Lion King, and went upstairs, and my wife was like, "What's up with you? Your eyes are red." I was like, "Sawdust in my eyes." Like, you crying?
Was it when Simba died? Was it at that exact moment?
when his dad.
The dad dies, not Simba. Yeah, the dad.
Mufasa, isn't it?
That's the one. Sorry, I'm not up to date on Disney. I haven't got kids yet, so I'm clearly not up to scratch.
Mate, when you have kids, you'll know them all, mate. It's completely changed the way I am. And like I said, mate, it's made me it was that final touch that I needed to just be, right, this is who I am. And I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, if they don't think I'm a man or whatever. This is who I am. And it's, I've had more connections or more friends, should I say. I've made more friends since I've been this person. But I think also a part of that is understanding who you are and what people you need to be around. When you understand who you are, you'll understand the people you need to be around, and you'll that's another touch to it. They say you become the people you hang around with, don't they? And when you understand yourself, you'll make more friends, or should I say newer friends, networking through that, through like-minded people, and you just become a better person through that as well.
You meet far fucking better ones. I know that much, when you're not pretending to be someone you don't even really want to be.
Exactly, mate. Because you just surround yourself with fake people else.
Yeah, they like a fake version of you that isn't even you. When there's no authenticity, it's just like it's building, the foundation's made out of sand. It's an absolute waste of time.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I've got an interesting question for you. I'd love to know what would you define masculinity as now? What does masculinity mean to you?
Just take that body armor off. Everyone's got body armor in some way, and we all got something that we're showing to protect ourselves. But just take it off and just be who you are. What if being a man is actually showing emotion? What if being a man is actually, I've seen it before, mate, in playgrounds, men standoffish with their kids because they don't want to play with their kids, and talk to their kids in that certain manner. When you talk to your kids, you don't talk to your kids like this way when they're real small. You talk to them in a different manner. You act differently with them, or you play with them. And I see some men do it in playgrounds nowadays where they stand off with their kids, or they sit on their phone and not play with them. I'm like, fuck that. I'm getting amongst it.
So basically, if there's a massive geezer spinning around on a fucking roundabout, it's you.
Yeah,
basically.
But mate, I'm like, I'll fire myself around the kids' playgrounds, the soft play areas, throw myself around that, mate, and love it. But I think every man's got something that they're showing to protect themselves. Well, I shouldn't say every man, because I don't have anything to protect myself nowadays. But there's men out there that have got that protective shield in front of them, and just get rid of that shield and just be who you are. I think we just need to be who we are. Just don't put up a front. The whole bravado of the alpha male thing. When I was in the paras, mate, blokes used to think an alpha male was cheating on your missus, going drinking all the time, fighting downtown at weekends. Mate, I've got a complete different outlook on what an alpha male is nowadays. Being faithful to your missus for one, being a good dad, just being who you are, helping people out.
And that's what it means. That's what the new definition of masculinity should be, right? Because I was exactly that. I used to cheat on all my ex-girlfriends because I wanted validation from other women, because that made me feel better about myself. I'm trying to fill like a void in myself. Obviously didn't feel good enough by myself, so I need to fuck loads of chicks to make myself feel better. That's one kind of example. I need to be jacked up on steroids and be big, because being big and strong is what made me feel like a man,
Yeah, that's your shield, isn't it? That's your...
Yeah, but basically you're a fucking pussy inside. That's where I was. I was running around acting all angry, because when you're angry and you're kicking off with people will get a little bit wary of you, and they think, oh yeah, he's a bit more dangerous. So they don't really see that just inside you're a scared little boy, scared of the world.
Yeah.
Mate,
and that's exactly all it is, mate. People could, there'd be men out there that look at somebody like, 22-inch arms, bit of a beard, Timberland boots on, jeans with a lumberjack jacket, like, fucking that's a man. Nah,
a geezer.
That's not a man. That's just a bloke that's struggling in some way.
Yeah, I think where you're coming from, I think you've got a really powerful message, because you are really pushing what it should be to be seen as a man these days. We live in a completely different world now. So what are you actively doing right now? I know you're really active on Instagram, etc. What is the real message you want to push out to people?
I try and push out to leaders in the army. These the corporals, sergeants, even the officers. Try and get hold of a bloke and help him out before it gets too far. If a bloke starts taking a plummet in his career, his career starts going down, and he's had a gleaming career before, ask yourself, why is this guy career, falling at the moment? What's wrong with him? And have a word with him, sit him down, talk to him. I think that's a massive thing that needs to happen in the military nowadays. Lads need to be looked after, not forgotten about.
Totally. So the first steps would be just paying attention to what these guys are going through. The warning signs are they've gone from a really great career to now it's starting to take a nosedive. What are the next steps after that? I think there's obviously the issues with the cultural issue, like it's not accepted to kind of show your emotions. That's one issue. And then getting through to these people, what would you say is the best way that's really going to resonate with these people that are going through this type of situation?
But one thing I will say quickly is, before I forget it, I know there's a lot of lads in the military that won't go and see somebody, because as soon as they go and see somebody for a mental health reason, they're kind of taken off duties. And nobody wants to be taken off duties when you're in the military. You're in the military for a reason, especially in a parachute regiment or an elite unit. You want to be there to fight. And sometimes all they need is to chat to somebody. Now, but even if you go and chat to somebody for mental health reasons in the military, they will take you off duties. I think there needs to be outside agencies that can go into the army and talk to lads, just have a chat with them, off the record, because some of them don't need to be taken off duty. Some of them just need to have a chat. Have something there where lads can just go and have not the part. I'm not talking about the padre that goes round and talks to lads every now and then. I'm talking about like a proper mental health group that can sit, the lads can sit down with and go, right, I need to have a chat to someone. I need to get this off my chest, because that's not really a mental health problem or having post-traumatic stress, but it can lead to it if they just bottle it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need someone to talk to. Just go and talk to them, get it off their chest.
Yeah, that makes a lot. It's just avoiding that suppression. That's what that's what strikes me. It's just all the while you're keeping it bottled up, you're going to keep pushing it further and further down until eventually it just blows up and then comes out in a really unpleasant way.
Well, we've all got an emotional bucket, haven't we, inside us? An emotional bucket. And if you keep filling that bucket up, it's going to explode. Sometimes you just got to empty the bucket. And whether that's by having a chat, a cry, punching a punch bag, going to the gym, going for a run, you just empty it in some way.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful message, and I think it's a really good point to end on. I think this is the perfect message, and it's coming from a man who is a true representation of a warrior. Get out there, have a cry if you fucking need to, talk to fucking people if you need to, it doesn't make you any less of a man. If anything, it makes you more secure and more solid in your masculinity, having the fucking balls to go and do it,
100%.
I think that's powerful. Can you tell people where they can find you, where they can read a little bit more about what you're doing, and also just re-highlight any of the charities who can help people that are in the military?
Yeah, so you can find me at dave.radband on Instagram. Is probably the best place to find me. I'm sure you can be tagged on this. And then there's Rock to Recovery, Warriors RV, all call signs. Get in touch with any of those charities, and they've got people on call to help you out if you need be.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, man. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, David.
Thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
This is the Platinum Podcast.